Welcome to the Intuitive Hour with psychic medium, author, and intuitive life coach, Michelle Beltran. The Intuitive Hour will empower you to learn how to magnify your intuitive voice. Listen in and expand your understanding of what it means to be psychic and how to awaken, amplify, and trust your inner voice.
I want you to imagine something with me for a moment. You're holding a watering can, and all around you there are gardens. Your work, your relationships, the people who need you, the commitments stacked up like flower beds in every direction. You move from one to the next, pouring, pouring, pouring. But here's the thing nobody told you. Your own well, the one that fills that watering can, it's running dry. So today, we're going to talk about the one word that refills it. A word you've probably been taught to fear. A word that might be the most sacred thing you say all year. That word is no. Stay with me. By the end of our time together, I think you'll feel it differently, this word no, in your entire body. Welcome, welcome, my friends, to the Intuitive Hour. Awaken your inner voice. I am so glad you're here with me today. Before we go any further, let's arrive together. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for just a moment at the top and let it go long and easy. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Unclench your jaw. Soften the space between your eyebrows, that third eye. There, much better. Today we're stepping into something tender. We're talking about boundaries, but not the way you might expect. Not as walls, not as cold rejection or shutting people out. We're going to explore boundaries as one of the most loving, intuitive, spiritually grounded acts of self-respect you can ever offer yourself. Here's what we'll move through together. We'll look at why your inner voice speaks the word no through your body. We'll learn how to tell the difference between a fear-based no and a true intuitive one. And we'll gather some gentle, practical tools so you can start honoring those signals without drowning in guilt afterward. If no has always felt impossible for you, I want you to know you're in exactly the right place. So let's begin. Let me start with a question, and I want you to really sit with it. When was the last time every part of you was quietly saying no, and you said yes anyway? Maybe it was agreeing to plans when your soul was begging for one quiet evening at home. Maybe it was staying in a conversation you weren't ready to have. Maybe somebody asked you to take on one more thing and you felt that drop in your stomach, that unmistakable heaviness. And you smiled and typed back, "Of course," with an exclamation point you absolutely did not mean. I've done this more times than I can count. I remember one stretch of life where I said yes to a project I knew deep down in my bones was not mine to carry. I felt it the moment the request came in. that low dropping sensation in my gut, the one that says, "This isn't for you." And I overrode it completely. I spent weeks afterward running on fumes, resentment, and far too much coffee. That work got done, but I was depleted, disconnected, and more. I was a little bitter, honestly, and so far from my own center that I barely recognized myself. Here is what I understand now that I didn't understand then. That gut feeling wasn't laziness, it wasn't negativity, it wasn't me being difficult or selfish. It was my intuition, my inner compass, trying so gently to protect my energy and turn me towards something more aligned. And I ignored it because somewhere along the way, I'd been taught that saying yes is generous and saying no is unkind. Does any of that land for you? So many of us were never taught that no could be a sacred word. We learned it was selfish, too much, not enough. Pick your poison. But I want you to really receive this next part because it's the heart of everything we're exploring today. Saying no when it's true for you is not about keeping people out. It's a doorway, one that leads you home back to yourself. So let's try reframing this whole idea of what a boundary really is, because I think the old story you've been told is doing you harm. Your energy is a living, breathing, finite resource. It's not endless. And every single time you say yes to something that depletes you, you're quietly saying no to something else. Usually, that something else is you, your rest, your creativity, your peace, your spiritual practice, the quiet morning you needed, the slow afternoon that would have restored you. So when you honor a true inner no, here's what actually is happening. You're not withdrawing love, you're redirecting it back to the source, back to you. And here's the beautiful part. From that full, rested, aligned place, you have so much more to genuinely give the world. Let's come back to that image from the very beginning now I mentioned, the watering can. Imagine trying to tend someone else's garden when your own well has run completely dry. You can lift that can and tip it over all of their flowers all day long, but there's nothing in it, just air and good intentions. But when you tend to yourself first, when you let your own well fill back up, then you can truly nourish the people and the work that matter most to you. That's the spiritual practice hiding inside the word no. Boundaries aren't walls at all. They're the gardening tools. They're how to keep something alive. They're how you keep something alive within you. So let me ask you gently, where in your life have you been pouring from an empty can? Now here's where it gets really interesting. Because your inner voice has been trying to reach you this whole time. Yet it doesn't usually speak in words, it speaks through your body. I want you to slow down with me for a moment and think back. When was the last time your body tried to communicate a very clear no and you talked yourself right out of listening? Think for a moment. Your intuition is sneaky like that. It uses physical signs. See if any of these feel familiar to you. Maybe it's a heaviness in your chest when you think about doing something that doesn't feel right, or a tightening in your throat in the seconds right before you agree to something. Maybe it's a low, dull dread that settles into your stomach and just sits there, or a sudden wave of exhaustion at the mere thought of a particular obligation. That unmistakable off feeling you can't quite explain with logic. Here's what I want you to know. These are not signs that something is wrong with you. These are your soul's way of saying, this doesn't align. I need a little space here. And the more you practice tuning into these signals, really pausing and listening, the louder and clearer they become. Your intuition isn't broken. It never was. It's just been patiently, lovingly waiting for you to trust it again. So the next time you feel that flutter, that tightening, that quiet heaviness, instead of pushing past it, what if you paused? What if you treated it as a message rather than an inconvenience? Let's talk about that guilt that shows up, that thing that makes all of this so hard, the thing standing between you and your no, that guilt. Because saying no without guilt can feel nearly impossible, right? Especially if you've spent years being the dependable one, the caretaker, the one who never complains and always shows up even when you're running on empty. If that's you, I want you to hear this with so much tenderness. Guilt doesn't always mean you've done something wrong. Let me say that again because it's really important. Guilt doesn't always mean you've done something wrong. Sometimes guilt is simply the echo of old conditioning, a voice planted in you a long time ago by someone else in another season of your life that told you that your needs come last. That voice is not your intuition. It's borrowed programming. And here's the freeing part. You're allowed to gently hand it back. So the next time you set a boundary and the guilt comes rushing in, try not to collapse under it. Get curious instead. Ask yourself one honest question. Is this guilt because I genuinely hurt someone? Or is it because someone is simply uncomfortable with my boundary? Those are two completely different things. Someone being disappointed by your no is not the same as you doing something wrong. Disappointment is a normal human emotion, and the other adults in your life are fully capable of feeling it and moving through it on their own. You don't have to carry it for them. You were never meant to. Let that settle for a second. You don't have to carry it for them. All right, let's talk about the intuitive no versus the fear-based no. This next part is worth really sitting with because not every no is the same. And learning to tell them apart will serve you for the rest of your life. Sometimes what feels like a boundary is actually avoidance. It's a way of protecting yourself from growth, from vulnerability, from the discomfort of something genuinely new. That kind of no usually comes wrapped in anxiety, a racing mind, a tight, urgent, desperate need to stay exactly where you are. And then there's the intuitive no. And oh, this feels so different. The intuitive no is quiet. It's firm. It's surprisingly peaceful. Even when it's inconvenient, even when it disappoints someone, and even when you can't fully explain it yet. Here's a simple way to tell them apart. A fear-based no lives in the future. It asks, what if this goes wrong? What if they stop liking me? What if I look bad? It spins stories. It feels frantic. An intuitive no lives right here in the present moment. It doesn't argue or panic. It simply says, this isn't for me. Not right now. Not in this form. And I want to give you a little tool I lean on all the time now. After you say no, check in with your body. Do this check-in about 24 hours after and notice how you feel. Does it feel like relief? Or does it feel like regret? Relief usually means you honored a true intuitive boundary. But a certain kind of regret, the kind that feels less like guilt and more like a genuinely missed opportunity, well, that one might be worth exploring a little more honestly. Your body is always offering you feedback, no exception. The whole practice is simply learning to listen. All right, let's start honoring your no. Let's do that right now. Let's get grounded and practical because you deserve real tools, not just beautiful ideas floating in the air. So let me walk you through 5 gentle practices. First, build in a pause before you respond. What I mean by that, you don't have to answer immediately, I promise you. The next time someone asks something of you and you feel that familiar squeeze pressure, simply say, let me think about it and get back to you. That one sentence is a complete boundary all on its own. It gives you the space to actually check in with yourself before your people-pleasing reflex jumps in and answers for you. Second, practice with small things first. So if saying no to the big stuff feels impossible right now, I get it. So start tiny. Decline a food you don't want. Skip the show that doesn't interest you. Order what you actually feel like eating instead of what's easiest. These little acts of honoring your own preferences are how you rebuild the muscle of self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of everything we do here. Third, notice the physical signal before the mental one. Before you start thinking about what to say, take one slow, deep breath and ask your body, how does this feel? You're not looking for logic yet. You're just gathering information. Your body so often knows the truth long before your mind catches up. Fourth, drop the over-explanation. This one is hard, but it's transformative. The fact of the matter is that you don't owe anyone a 5-paragraph essay justifying your no. "That doesn't work for me" is a complete sentence. "I'm not available for that" is enough. The more you over-explain, the more you invite negotiation, and the more you quietly signal to yourself that your no needs to be earned. It doesn't. It's valid simply because it's yours. And fifth, tend to yourself afterward. After you set a boundary, especially a hard one, do something kind for yourself. Make a cup of tea, take a slow walk, sit quietly for a few minutes with your hand on your heart. I love this one. Acknowledge that you just did something brave and honest. Your nervous system needs to learn gently and over time that boundaries don't end in catastrophe. They end in care. Before we close today, let me gather it all up for you so you can carry it with you. Your no is not a rejection. It's a redirection back to your energy, your truth, your alignment. Your body already knows. It's been whispering and sometimes shouting through every flutter and tightening and wave of dread. Those signals are sacred. Trust them. Guilt is not proof that you got it wrong. So often it's just old conditioning showing up for one last conversation. You can feel it fully and still hold your boundary. An intuitive no feels peaceful. A fear-based no feels frantic. Let that one distinction guide you. And please remember, tending to yourself is not selfish, it's sacred. A full well serves everyone better than an empty one ever could. And if you're at a place in your life where honoring your own needs feels almost radical, where even the idea of saying no makes your heart race a little, I want you to know that makes complete sense. Reclaiming your no can stir up old roles, old identities, old ways you once had to learn love or safety. That's real, and it's tender. But that part of you, the one who's been working so hard saying yes when everything inside was whispering no, that part of you deserves to rest. You deserve to rest. So here's what I'll leave you with. The next time that quiet, steady no rises up from somewhere deep inside you, take one breath before you override it. What if this time you listened? Thank you, everyone, for sharing this time with me today. If something here touched you, carry it with you into the week. And if you know someone who's been pouring from an empty can, maybe pass this episode along to them. Until next time, trust yourself, honor yourself, and remember, you're doing so much better than you think you are. Have a wonderful rest of your week, everyone.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Intuitive Hour, please consider following, rating, and reviewing the podcast at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. You're welcome to access Michelle's free controlled remote viewing exercise that will empower you to uncover answers to your burning questions about lost objects, events, or people in the past, present, or future. Visit michellebeltran.com To access this free offering and rediscover what was once lost,